welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of September 2023. I hope you are well. We're using the Edmund de Lac Tarot for you today. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is link number 1 in the description box. The second link is to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix over on Circle. You can get access to the extended content for no extra cost, and also hang out with a truly extraordinary and very talented group of people. So if that's something that sounds of interest to you, you know what to do. So let's have a look and see what's going on with you, Cancer. Can I have 3 cards for Cancer, please? There's the first one. We have the Six of Cups in reverse, interestingly, for your past energy. Current energy, please. Thank you, is the Magician. Somewhat on point for you, I think, in the last few months. What's coming towards Cancer for September, please? We have the Seven of... Oh, I haven't even shown you what you're looking at here. We've got the Seven of Wands in reverse. That's pretty powerful right there. We have the Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck, followed by the Five of Cups and the Six of Swords. Five of Wands there. There's a lot of unstable energy there, Cancer. Oh God, what's going on here? And the funny thing is, I'm not sure any of it is yours, which is an interesting position to take. Certainly you seem to be in the act of moving away from this sort of thing. You know, we have a return to something here with the Six of Cups. But let's get some clarifiers out. It's not a return to something. It's a not return to something, actually. Just absolutely messed up my Six of Wands and Six of Swords and Six of Cups there. That is a refusal to go back to something. No wonder you're feeling powerful. Right, let's have a look. Why is the Six of Cups in reverse here, please? Thank you. We have the Judgment card. And we have the King of Cups. Tell me about the Magician. Why is that here, please, for Cancer? There we go. Ace of Cups. And the Temperance card. And why is the Seven of Wands here, please, for Cancer? Thank you. Two of Cups in reverse. Oh, good Lord. Look at all those just vomited out at once. We've got the Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. But we have the Tower. You're not the only sign to have got that this month. The Eight of Cups. You're not the only sign to have got those two together, in fact. And the Six of Pentacles. Right. I'm going to put that Judgment card the right way up because that's how I feel like I want it to be. It just, I don't know, it's just asking to be turned the right way up rather than sideways. So, it's a bit of a clusterfuck, but we can see more or less what's going on. So, the first thing to notice about this reading, or the first thing rather that I notice about this reading, is that you do seem to be in an extraordinarily powerful position right now. You know, I smirked when the Magician came out in your current energy because, or was it 3 readings ago, I called your reading, You Are a Fucking Magician. And I stand by that. And it seems like you very much have accepted that energy into yourself. Now, before we kind of jump too far ahead on what's going on here, let's just kind of keep this overview going here. Powerful position seems broadly to be coming from a refusal to put yourself back into a place where you have been before. And I think that there is encouragement to do that. There is some brittle energy around you at the moment, and it's not yours. It belongs to perhaps one person or a couple of people. It seemed to be kind of trying to draw you back like Siren Song to an old situation that you've been in before. And your spirit feels completely indomitable in the face of it, Cancer. There's an absolute resolute refusal to be drawn back into past fuckery. So we have the Six of Cups here, which I incorrectly asserted meant that you were going back to something. It means quite the reverse. It's a refusal to go back to something. The Six of Cups, when it's in the upright, speaks to the past. It can talk to your childhood experiences. It can speak to past life issues. It can speak to children, full stop, actually. And it has a kind of nostalgic quality to it. Now, I remember reading in a dictionary, well, there was a dictionary or some sort of etymological tome about what nostalgia actually used to mean back in Victorian times, and it was, rather than this kind of sepia-toned, rose-tinted glasses idea of the past, which is now how we talk about nostalgia. When we get nostalgic about the past, it was like, oh, it's all better then, all that sort of stuff. Nostalgia was actually something that was so overwhelming that it could make one feel nauseous. It was like a need, a desperate desire to get back to something, almost like homesickness, actually. That's something like that, right? Now that takes on a very strong quality when we're talking about our connection to the past, right? And a lot of what you have been working through over the last few years. And it's funny, interesting, just as an aside, it's funny how many signs have had the last 3 years coming up in their readings as pivotal, almost like training grounds for where they are right now. I mean, there's a certain amount of sense in that anyway, right? But it's very specific, this last 3 years. A lot of the work that you've been doing has been about extricating yourself from patterns and cycles of the past, people of the past who were, expressions of those patterns of energy within your experience. And a lot of ultimately the conditioning of childhood that saw you go out into the world in a particular way. Now, the Judgment card appearing here is not really a surprise. Mercury is in retrograde as we speak. It's been in pre-shadow for 3 weeks. So most of August has been taken up with this. Pretty much most of August has been taken up with this energy. And the Judgment card, in amongst other things, speaks to things that are being brought back to life, right? Resurrected, if you will, for you to go back and look at them and check that you have, adequately dealt with them, adequately dealt with them the first time round. Like, often when these situations reappear, it's because we dealt with it to the best of our ability there and then, but really we didn't tidy up all of the loose ends. The retrograde energy simply is about stopping and going back over what you have already done. It's a very powerful energy if we can learn to work with it rather than trying to fight against it. And most of us fight against it or get afraid of it or start shrieking about how our technology has bricked or our car's broken down or something like that. If you can roll with this energy, it can not only help with the process of healing, because there's a lot of clarity that can come when the retrograde has completed its work. But there's an opportunity to practice proper mindfulness here. So in the act of going back over things that you thought were dealt with, you thought were completed, that you now see were not dealt with quite as well as they could be, the mindfulness of the present starts to develop, because you're looking at situations that you are involved in and saying, right, okay, well, maybe I need to put a bit more effort into this here, or maybe this is a big red flag, and I need to walk away from this, The Judgment card has something coming back up, or has had something coming back up that has been entreating you to come back in. Right? I actually think that this Judgment energy is sitting rather separate to the energy of Mercury retrograde. Because the Six of Cups is a no, in reverse at least. It's no, I'm not going back to that. Now, I think it blends both, actually, now I'm sitting with it. And we have the King of Cups. We have an incredibly emotionally stable position that you have found yourself in. And it becomes ever more powerful the more you are willing to assert your refusal to go back and repeat patterns that are almost branded on your DNA. I would like another card. There's something else going on here and I'm not quite sure what it is. I feel like I've come into the story like part way through it. Tell me about the Six of Cups in reverse. We've got the Hermit and we've got the Six of Swords. So we have the Six of Swords again, and we already see it at the bottom of the deck here. There is movement away from things. With the Hermit card being there, it could be a movement away from what would amount essentially to a trauma response of, you know, hiding within oneself, isolating oneself. Oh, we've had conversations before, Cancer, because some of you will know I have my Venus in Cancer, and that's been tortuous. I think Cancer is a highly complex sign and much more complicated than it's given credit for, to be honest. I've spoken before about how after my marriage broke down and after my toxic, beautiful Scorpio ex circled, we circled each other for a little bit before stinging the shit out of each other and then parting ways. Like, after that, I decided that I obviously wasn't very good at things like boundaries, and I wasn't very good at, all sorts of different things that came to do with relationships, and clearly my judgment was very, very poor. So my solution to that was, well, I'll just not do people anymore. That's probably the best course of action in the circumstances. And so I isolated myself, and it wasn't that I stayed in my house and didn't speak to anyone. I did that, but everybody wasn't just arm's length away. It was like leg length away. I'm a kickboxer, I can hold my leg out there. Like, you're not getting any closer to me than that. And I thought for the longest time, in that way that our minds do, that, sort of 18 months down the line, that meant that I had actually become really good at dealing with people because I didn't let them in. And it was only when my Sagittarius partner came along, completely broadsided me, that I realised that I had mistaken isolation and non-exposure to relationships for, oh, I'm really good at relationships now. And I couldn't have been more wrong, right? It was a very steep learning curve that came off the back of that. So it could be that what we're not doing is going back to that self-imposed isolation where we keep ourselves away from people and keep ourselves away from the possibility of relationships so that we literally cannot make the same mistakes again. Now, that isn't necessarily growth. That's something else. I mean, there's an aspect of kind of stunting your growth in taking that approach. But I think that it's quite common for people who have been hurt and hurt very deeply. There are a disproportionate number of Cancers who have been born to narcissistic parents, one or the other of them. It's very rarely that there's two of them because they just simply wouldn't tolerate each other. And I think it's completely heartbreaking that would be the case, but it is. And being born to narcissistic parents, one or other of them, makes it entirely more likely that you will end up in a relationship with a narcissist further down the line, because you go towards what it is that you know, right? And for someone who has the inherent codependence that is necessary, as seems to sit innately within the Cancer archetype, certainly at its, in its damaged state. It's an obvious solution that we would go for isolation. But I think you're completely rejecting that. I wonder if the energy of the last 2 months has changed your mind about a lot of things. So it's not that you're refusing to go back. Well, it could be. It could be that you're refusing to go back to somebody who is trying to, draw you back in. It could be that you're refusing to go back to the isolation because you recognize that that is not a coping strategy. Well, it's a coping strategy. It's not a solution. Like, there's emotional maturity that's gone on here. And a lot of it revolves around your ability to be able to say no, Cancer. Because that's where it starts. When you develop the ability to be able to say no, and you don't have to qualify it with anything else after. Right? We don't need to run into this hour-long explanation of how you've come to the conclusion that you have, whereby your answer is no. You can just say no and mean it. It creates an awful lot of space for you to start investing in yourself. It creates an awful lot of power there to be able to affect your own existence, because codependent people really, really do struggle with feelings of powerlessness. It shows you where you've given your power away, because suddenly you're not giving it away anymore and you're bringing it back to you, and you can do things with it. It's an absolute revelation. And it does speak to the level of maturity that you have achieved here. Now, when we move into your present energy and we have the Magician, you're rocking that Magician energy again. Maybe looking for looking to manifest strongly something for you, but I really don't feel like you're kind of looking around in the world and saying, right, this is, I want a shiny house, and I want a nice boyfriend or girlfriend, and I want a dog and some chickens. It doesn't feel like that kind of manifestation. When I try and feel into Cancer energy, what I'm feeling is it's like a pot on a stove, and it's making a little bubble, and the lid is clattering every now and again. You go over and you pull the lid up, and there is a rolling boil going on underneath there. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's like the energy has built to the point now, and it's all very internal, and it's all very internally focused, it seems. It has built to such a point now that the thought of going back into an unhealed state, which is what you would have to do in order to capitulate to being drawn back into an old situation. It's incomprehensible to you that anybody would even suggest that that would be something that you would want to do. This Ace of Cups here is a very prominent symbol of an increasingly powerful relationship with self, which is something that Cancer has always struggled with. You're becoming bolder, you're becoming more empowered. Your willingness to use the word no is really quite strong now. But it feels like your cup literally runneth over, as we see here in the Ace of Cups. It's like you are so powerful. The thought of ever undoing all of the work that you've done, if for anyone to suggest it, means that they have absolutely no idea what it's taken for you to get to the place that you are. And they've certainly no idea how unwilling you are to part with the personal autonomy and personal authority that you now hold over your life. I mean, about this Temperance card in reverse. Yeah, it's like it's exactly that. Right? 8 of Pentacles and the Star. There's just been too much work has gone into it. There's been too much clearing out. There's been too much purifying. There's been too much cleansing. Like, you've been working really hard in the background, and you haven't asked anyone for, it feels to me, for their opinion on this matter. You haven't asked anyone for, even necessarily for their guidance on this matter. You haven't shared too much about what it is that you've been doing with other people. You've been moving steadfastly towards your own personal star. And this sense that there is no one who is going to save you. And more importantly, possibly Cancer, that there's no one whom you are required to save. obligated, duty-bound, even motivated to save. Which means that all of the pentacles that are on that Eight of Pentacles there, all of the work that you have put in, it's all gone into you. Now the star can talk about, our highest goals, hopes, dreams, aspirations. It certainly is the furtherance of ourselves, Per ardua ad astra. Through hardship to the stars. Like where you are feels so glorious. You'd rather chew off your own leg than give any of that away again in the way that you had before. And yet you seem to be surrounded. Five of Swords, Five of Cups. Now there's the Six of Swords, that's where you kick in. And we've also got the Five of Wands here. We've got triple five, which is instability. I think that this is the people around you. And I think, Cancer, you are looking to start to put distance between you and certain people. There are some people who are absolute joys to be around, and you embrace them with everything that you have. But there are others. And whether it's their relentless negativity, whether there is something narcissistic about some of the people that are involved here. Maybe it is a specific person, like an ex or something like that, that's been kind of sniffing around, or an old friend who used to manage to consistently make you feel like shit about yourself all of the time. And since you've had an opportunity to put a bit of distance between you and them, you feel better. But maybe they're sniffing around again and you're like, oh, I have something really very pressing to do 60 miles that way. Sorry, can't meet up, something like that. This absolute refusal to abdicate your autonomy, to subjugate your autonomy to somebody else, is absolutely radiating through this. You are shining right now, Cancer. And the only problem with shining, and it's not really a problem, is the fact that it attracts everything towards you. I would go as far as to say at this point, your boundaries are so good that those with less than stellar intentions actually find it very difficult to get close to you in the way that they used to before. It used to be fairly effortless, to be honest, because you were desperately looking for, people to save. And that's not there anymore. Your focus is purely and solely on saving yourself. Now, with this unstable energy that's kind of cluttering around you, do you feel you're looking at people and you're like, I'm not sure what we have in common anymore, because I am not who we were. I mean, maybe some of the friendships that you've had, and they could be even really close friendships, you're starting to realize are more trauma bonds than they are anything really meaningful. And so as you grow and evolve away from that, that's pretty uncomfortable for the person that you have a trauma bond with, and they will try and keep you where you are. But what's really powerful about this is that Seven of Wands in reverse. This isn't you taking a club to anybody who's trying to get close to you and take advantage of you. We're not talking about someone who's got, so spiky. They've got such defenses that people can't get anywhere near them. I actually feel like you've put all of that side of yourself away. And instead of the armour and the big crabby claws that we associate with Cancer the crab, actually what we've got is you resonating at a higher expression of your energy. That which is concerned with with the home. Yeah. With joy, with emotional nurturing. But the call came from within the house. Like, you started on this stuff by yourself. So are you thinning out your friendship group a little bit this month? Possibly, Cancer. And the funny thing is, I do get the feeling that there is a catalyzing event for this. And I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a disagreement over, world events or politics or something like that. It seems like there's something that appears to have come from nowhere going on this month. Except that in all likelihood, this has actually been building up for a while. We have the Two of Cups in reverse, which does indicate that there is a separation here of some sort. For some of you, it might be a major relationship. For others of you, it's just pulling away from people who feel toxic. It could be that the rather sudden aspect of this might be how other people perceive your behaviour rather than what it is that you're feeling about the situation. Because like I said, I feel like this has been building up for quite a long time. But self-preservation seems to be the order of the day, and not letting things get to such a point where, you know, you're so enmeshed in somebody else that you lose everything in walking away from them. And I feel like probably a few cancers have had that experience. It's more recognizing ahead of time where there is an incompatibility and just saying, no, I'm not standing for this. So whilst, like I said, it looks like it's very sudden and it comes from nowhere to other people, you're like, no, this is just the very obvious next step in a path that I have been taking. We've got the Eight of Cups down there. We see the Six of Swords underneath those double fives. Like, it seems like it has the quality of drama that historically you might have been quite familiar with. And what's changing this month is, rather than allowing yourself to get sucked into the drama, you are simply saying, no, no, not my circus, not my monkeys. And you're prioritizing what is right for you. Let's dig into this tower a little bit. I mean, we're probably going to do a bit more of this in the extended, but tell me about this tower. So we've got the Five of Wands tried to come out there, which is a card of conflict and strife. But you can only be in conflict with someone if you allow yourself to be in conflict with them. And I feel like you're kind of choosing to walk away rather than engaging with it. What we've got here, we've got the Hierophant, which is Taurus energy. And we have the High Priestess, which is Pisces. And we've got the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I feel like it's more likely that you are aware that there's some low-level manipulation been going on for a while, right? And you've kind of side-eyed it, you've seen it, because obviously you notice when people are manipulating you. But I think that you've been just putting up with it. I think that you've been dealing with it. And it's not out of any kind of obvious lack of self-worth or anything like that. It's more, that would cause more of a shit show than I'm willing to deal with at the moment. So I'm just going to roll with this, but I'm going to gently put a bit of space between me and this other person. I think that there's something here that is just the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think it does revolve around someone being less than honest about something. Could even be an institution of some sort. Doesn't have to be a singular person. It's like there's been something approaching doubt in your mind for a while, that the relationship, such as it is with someone here, was really in your best or highest interests. But it wasn't quite uncomfortable enough to cause the scene that you thought would result from pulling away from it. But there's one last thing that seems to be happening in September that just pushes everything beyond the pale, and that's it. You're done. You're walking away. And Cancer, you're not even looking back. Doesn't even occur to you to look back. You are going, because you don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to fight your corner. You don't need to make someone understand. I think that there might be a realization that somebody is committed to misunderstanding you. And in those instances, you can drive yourself insane trying to come up with a different way to explain the same thing 15 times. You know, if you do have experience of being around narcissists, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. Everything about this reading screams strength and the prioritization of one's own wellness. And I don't even think that you feel bad about the fact that it's taken you longer to deal with this situation than it could have done. Because there's something so measured and so emotionally stable about the way that you're approaching any of this. Maybe you've been doing a lot of giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. But when all doubt is eradicated, as it seems with the Seven of Swords, and the High Priestess and the Tower and the Hierophant here, all appearing together. It's time to pick up your coat and your hat and your funky walking boots and your stick and head on out. Like, really, that's the message this month, Cancer. It's follow what your intuition is telling you, because on the one hand you've got confirmation of an intuition that you have had that is arriving this month, but on the other, the intuition says, now how do we deal with it? And it's like, well, we leave. That's what we do now. We don't make a fuss. We don't try and take responsibility for everything and make the person like us again, any of that. Like, no. Like, there's something so staunch, so resolute about your energy this month. You're just like, no, fuck this, I'm off, goodbye. And that is the absolute, epitome of what a boundary is supposed to be. It's not a rule. You can't do this to me. That's unfair. It's saying you can do whatever you like, but if you cross this boundary here that I've set, which is that I don't want you to lie to me or whatever, and you do, then I'm going to take myself somewhere else and do something, literally anything else, other than be in your company. That's powerful. Because I don't think that you are prepared to let anybody fuck with your peace at all. We have underneath here, we've got the Lover's card and the Four of Wands. It's like everything seems quite clear cut for you this month, Cancer. And I don't want to be as reductive as to boil it down as to something like, well, you're either with me or you're against me. But there's something kind of black and white about the way that you're thinking about things. It's like, if you can't be direct, if you can't respect me enough to approach me directly and then accept the answer that I have, rather than going around the houses, coming up sideways, trying to manipulate me into something, then I'm not really here for that. I'm leaving. I'm busy. I'm in the act of manifesting the kind of life that I want for myself. And because as within, so without, like, I have to be listening to what's going on inside of me, because that is what is taking me slowly but surely to a state where I'm creating the Four of Wands. The home is of utmost importance to Cancer. It's got to be emotionally secure. It's got to be stable. There's got to be trust there. And I don't think that you've been able to trust this person fully for quite a long time. So there's a confirmation that you are correct. And then there's the freedom of just being able to walk away from it. And do you know what, Cancer? It feels really good. Now, the astrology of this month is kind of crunchy, to be honest, as it was right the way through August too. But it feels to me like it's water off a duck's back to you. Because you're so focused on yourself and your stuff. It's like a force field. You're absolutely impermeable. I love it. I'm so excited. Right, I'm going over to the extended now. You're very welcome to join me if you would like to do so. You can do that on Vimeo or on Circle. But if that's not to your liking, it's absolutely fine. Like Cancer, you just do what it is that you are doing, because your boundaries are extraordinary right now. And you're not maintaining them with a wavering voice, right? You know, with a little wibble in your voice, just shaking like a leaf. It's like no, you and no as well. Yes, I like you. Yes, that's totally a thing that can happen. No. You seem so confident. You are so confident, so self-assured, so self-possessed. No wonder you're rocking this manifestation, and you can do literally anything you fucking want at this point, because all of the major ways in which Cancer has always held themselves back, you've been dismantling those for years. So you just keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing really, really well. All right. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.